Today I'm joined by Mike Reed. Me and Mike have known each other since 2018, I believe. We've been making content since then, back when I was still working in a full 9 to 5 job as a estate agent in Surrey. What would you say is the biggest difference, Mike, in terms of content in 2018 to where we are now in 2025? And I'll preface this with some context as well. Mike runs all the creative side stuff in terms of all our content, and also coaches within 7-figure scaling systems in terms of helping our clientele up-level their content.
Well, that's a good question to open the podcast with. First of all, I just want to say thanks for having me on. I feel like I sit here behind the scenes a lot of the time, and I see some of the guests that you have on the podcast. And it's cool to come on and just chat, just me and you. 2018 to 2025, late 2025. Well, first things first is when we first started, there was no such thing as Reels. So the type of content that you would tend to create would obviously just be like either still images or stories, or do you remember IGTV?
Yeah, bro, that was shit. Yeah.
So IGTV, for those of you who don't know,
you're too young for this.
Yeah, it was basically Instagram's direct competition at the time was YouTube. So what Instagram thought they wanted to go into was more long form content. So they allowed anywhere upwards of like 10 to 15 minute videos on IGTV. So that would probably be the biggest differences between the short form content and the absolute domination of TikTok, the TikTok era. And the fact that the algorithms in general with social media have completely changed since 2018. It's more driven towards that short, snappy, short kind of content, which is, in my opinion, not as informative or engaging as what it used to be. But it's just the way that the platform's gone. So, yeah, that's why.
So I'd also give some more context. Why do you think mine/our content did well at the beginning?
Okay, so I think probably the main reason for that is because there wasn't really anyone in the space at that time who was leveling up their like production value in regards to content. Most people were just filming back then, which would have been on like
maybe an iPhone 6 or something stupid.
Maybe even earlier than that. But you have to bear in mind, like the quality of the videos people were putting out on Instagram at that time was horrendous. So when I came in with the concept of, oh, hey, let's film on a DSLR camera at the time, you were actually skeptical of it to begin with because it was such a long process. And I remember the first few times that I would do it, we would go to the gym, we'd train, I'd film your sessions for you. Well, both of our sessions, we'd film each other, and then we'd sit there afterwards eating our pre-workout meal whilst the videos were downloading from the camera so you could upload them straight away to your stories. But the minute we did that was kind of like, I feel that's where the first shift came in from like not necessarily your growth on social media, but what I think is like what people perceived you as on social media, because at that time you were probably doing exactly the same thing as what everyone else was doing, just filming some behind the scenes stuff on the stories or putting out informative content. But then the minute we started filming and taking that production up to another level, it kind of separated us away from the noise, if that makes sense.
So I think, I'll ask you the question on that. Do you think it's easier to make content now or easier to make content in 2018?
Oh, man. I think they both have their differences. I wouldn't say one's easier than the other, because when you're in it, you don't understand like that there is another thing to do. I think to be able to gain traction back then was even saying that, if I think about it, gaining traction back then was probably easier because you could utilize tools like shout out pages and stuff like that, which don't tend to work as much anymore. But the amount of content that you can create now and how easy it is and the amount of people that potentially would see it is completely different to 2018. In 2018, you were basically just dependent on your already followers seeing what you would put out on social media, whereas now the algorithms actually want to push you out to other people who don't originally follow you. So I think there's a difference they both have their unique differences. They probably are both just as hard as each other. It's just they're completely two different opposites.
So I think in 2018, I remember doing a lot of stuff like shout-outs where people would like share each other on the stories, get each other to follow you. Whereas now, that would be a way to kind of grow your account. The way now you have an advantage, you have the ability for explosive growth, because like they didn't really have virality in terms of like you could be Billy Nobody and then suddenly get 10 million views on one reel and get loads and loads. Like Trevor Stewart would be a great example.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants an example, go listen to the podcast with Trevor Stewart.
Yeah.
Would be an example in terms of how you can kind of blow up.
Yeah.
And the secret to content and everything in business, if you find something that work, just keep fucking doing the thing. You want to ride that fucking cowboy all day long. So it's kind of a weird analogy. I don't know why I said that, but that's kind of the way I would kind of think. Like, just keep milking that.
Yeah, and I think as well with that, that's something that I talk a lot about on the content calls, on the weekly content calls that I do, which is if you look at any creator, and just for context as well, everybody out there who's listening, I'm assuming the majority of people are like online coaches or online business owners. What you have to bear in mind is like an online business, the online comes before the business for a specific reason, which is that your online presence basically dictates your whole business. And people can argue whether or not, you should have your back ends of your business set out before you start marketing. But at the end of the day, your main driver for new leads, new clients will continuously come from an online presence if you're an online business. So the amount of people that I speak to who treat it as like a part-time hobby and they don't actually go all in on trying to create like really good standout content is bizarre to me, because it's your bread and butter. That's where all of your leads are potentially coming from. So if you can nail that down and really like get that locked in, then you won't actually necessarily have to worry about anything else, because when you find something that tends to work, and you see this, and I talk about it a lot of online coaches, what they'll do is they'll shoot and throw stuff at the wall and hope that something sticks. But if you really look at the ones that actually do well online, are the ones that find a format that works, repeat it, continue to master that, and then just roll with it and milk it until it doesn't work anymore. You can see this on numerous amounts of occasions.
I remember when we were cranking fitness content for a while, the two big phases three things I remember distinctly working, kind of milked. One was like we used to make videos with like muscle pop graphics. Yep. That did really well for a while.
Yep. Number
2 was workout carousels.
Yep.
Number 3 was in start 2022. I used to do a lot of like right and wrong training videos. Mm-hmm. They get hundreds of thousands of views on Reels. They rip.
Yeah.
And this is where like, and then what did I do? All I'd make was fucking right and wrong videos.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'd get the exact same one and just remake it again.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes just to say, if something's working, just keep doing it. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And especially in regards to that. And I remember like when you first came to me and you showed me an idea. We were training. I specifically remember we were training in a gym, King's Gym in Croydon, and you got out your phone and you showed me a video. I can't remember the guy's name. It's like Labubu or something like that. He's like a coloured guy, a fitness influencer. And he was the first one that I'd ever seen that had done some form of like muscle pop video. And you show it to me and he was like, look, this is sick. Can you do this? And at the time I was thinking, how the fuck am I going to do that? I don't know how I'm going to create that. I don't even know how he's done it. And then vividly, with all transparency, I took a modafinil and sat in front of the computer for 10 hours and just literally just cranked out and made my version of what was a muscle pop, which in my opinion was 10 times better than the original, and gave it to you. You posted it. I think that the one where we was doing like a lat pull down or something, got a ridiculous amount of traction, and then off the back of that you were just constantly on my case like, can you make more of these, can you make more of these, which is like a blessing and a curse, I guess, at the same time.
Yeah, I think everything is a blessing and a curse in some regards. So I think we'll go into that kind of subject later on, but if you look at, say, like the content we've made and I've done reasonably well with that, why do you think that is?
Because it stands out. It's completely different. If you're scrolling through your feed, if you've never seen something like that before, which is, for those of you who haven't seen it, I mean, it's probably been milked dry now, but when you're scrolling through your feed and you see something that is so visually like jaw-dropping that you have to stop and watch, that's what separates you from anybody else. And to try to do that in now day and age is a lot harder than what it was back then, because the level of content that people are putting out now is high production value, high graphics, high engagement, and it's almost being curated for the stop the scroll. But it works because it's different. And everyone that I see in the industry at the moment, especially beginners when they first come in, they're confused about what to create. So they, instead of looking at their avatar and what their avatar would want to see, they look at their competitors and what their competitors are doing, and then they just mimic that and copy that, and then we just get lost in this sea of online fitness coaches who are just putting out the same content. which if you think about it, if you're an average guy or girl who wants to lose weight or tone up, get fit in general, like why would I decide to choose you over somebody else if you're doing the exact same thing? You'll look the same, you'll sound the same. There's no differentiation.
And ultimately, I think that's also where people need to be more hyper specific with the content they're making, who they're speaking to. So one of the reasons I think a lot of people struggle that they blend in is if like you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. So not actually like polarizing enough. So like I'm a big believer in kind of like magnetic marketing in terms of like who you are for and who you're not for. It's like some of our ads are like, if you're lazy, broke, and kind of you don't want to make money, like keep scrolling, like being very direct of like, who is this is for and who it's not, because you pushing people away will pull the other people in.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's like something that it's hard because when you create content, you like to say to yourself, I don't want the view, like I'm not going to pay attention to the views, I'm not going to pay attention to the traffic, I'm just going to solely try and speak to somebody who is my ideal client. And that's all well and good, but it's human nature to want to like continuously get more. So if you're putting out content that maybe doesn't get that much traction or doesn't get that much engagement, you start questioning yourself whether or not it's working or not. But what a lot of people don't understand is that even a small amount of people that are viewing your content, let's say for instance you're stuck between 1,000 to 3,000 views on your posts, that's still a hell of a lot of people that are potentially looking at your content, that are warming up to you as a person, that could potentially buy into your services.
Do you know what's the most interesting metric I look on reels like that? Watch time.
Yes.
If you've got, it's only got 3,000 views. Okay, it was like 2 days of solid watch time, whatever it is. I'm like, well, that's a lot of exposure you're getting people to listen to you. And there's also this difference between width and depth, because if you've got 3,000 people who watch a video of you and they're very specific in terms of who you want to work with, and it's a very specific video that's angled in the right way for a specific reason, it can then have a very specific outcome for you if you're smart.
Oh, 100%. And the thing is, this is again goes back to the mistake that a lot of people make, is they don't actually track the right things. So they're tracking views and they're tracking like engagement because that's what looks sexy on the outside, but they're not actually tracking the back end data, which is the most important thing in content. Like you track what works, you double down on it, whereas other people, they don't seem to do that. They seem to just, like I said again, like throw stuff at the wall and just expect it to work, which it just never will.
Do you think I was ever afraid to make content?
100%, without a shadow of a doubt. I remember like the stark difference between what you were like on camera now and what you were like when we first started filming with each other. Like I think the first time we ever filmed with each other was a behind the scenes of you competing in body power.
2018?
I think it was 2018. Prior to that, we'd obviously trained with each other before, and I think I'd taken images of you training and stuff like that. But the actual first filming session was that. And I remember just filming you, and obviously you were deep in prep at that time anyway, so you probably cognitively you weren't there. But to look back at that footage now, and maybe I'll put some footage on screen of like some of that old
if
stuff.
anyone wants to see the video, if you go on Charlie Johnson Fitness YouTube channel, we probably put 2018 body power, probably come up.
Yeah, and you can probably judge how you look. But the stark difference is it's massive, and that goes to show not only the willingness that you want to improve, but just the relentlessness that you've put in to, create this personal brand that you sit here today with.
And what do you think is the key behind that personal brand that's allowed that to happen?
I think there's a lot of things that go in on the back end. I like to think that, being that I've worked with you since 2018, helped you with the fitness content, and now helping you with the business side of the content, I like to think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that I've played a pivotal part in personal brand and, getting your content out there to be at a specific level. I don't think you could pinpoint one thing. I think anybody that knows you as a person knows that you have like this bit between your teeth and you just won't give up. And not only that, but the ability for you to take criticism when it's due, but also on the flip side of things, not take personal offense to people who throw shade on you. Because in the beginning stages, if you're creating content, you're always going to go through a stage where people who friends, family, will look at you and they won't understand or know the person that they see on the screen, and that's uncomfortable for them, and they can't understand why you're trying to do what you're doing. So then, because they don't understand it, then they start to place judgment on it, which it is what it is. It's like anything. If you take that into account for someone, say for instance, who's trying to lose weight, the vast majority of people who lose weight, in the initial stages of them losing weight, their friends and their family are very, very supportive of what they're doing. But then when they start getting further and further along into their journey, it starts to become uncomfortable for the people who know them, because they now no longer know this person as Susan, who's overweight and has, like, drinks on the weekend or goes out partying. She's now this person who's completely different. So your friends and family don't know how to actually be around that person anymore, because it's a new person. So then they start throwing judgment, and they start saying stuff like, oh, you still doing that diet? Oh, you still doing that thing? And it's probably the same. Like, oh, you still doing that content stuff? You're still trying to do that? You're still trying to be that fitness influencer? Like, in the beginning stages, you're going to get that stuff. So just take everything with a pinch of salt. And I guess it's easier. It's actually easier now than it was probably back then.
Bring this up
because everybody's fucking doing it now. So it's like, it's just second nature. If you walk in a gym, it's literally, if someone's filming themselves, it's second nature. You don't think anything of it. But back in like 2016 to 2018, where nobody was doing it, especially in like the gym that we used to train at, which was
Kingston and Croydon.
Well, we used to train at numerous amounts of gyms, that being one of them. But, most people that would go to these gyms would look at like what you were doing or what we were doing and be like, what the fuck are these guys doing? And it can feel intimidating, and if you don't anchor yourself to something, and I think what you anchored yourself to was like this undeniable like drive to want to be successful and for people to see you as being successful. If you don't anchor yourself to something like that, then it's very easy for you to like take a back seat and just be like, oh fuck this isn't for me, I can't handle it and not do it anymore.
Well, ultimately it's the framework a be do have, and I think the reality is that people will often try and stop you doing things, and they'll ask why you're doing something, but then 5 years later they'll ask you, how have you done this?
Well, why do you think that is? Why do you think it's human nature that people do that? Because we'll probably get on to talking about being in Dubai, but especially in the UK, like, you get that all the time.
So the UK, apologise for anyone, is a rife cesspit of bullshit. So, and I can kind of give an example of this, but why I think it's like that is people throw shit at people who are doing things that they cannot do because it creates insecurity for them, and they realise they're getting left behind, or someone's trying to step above the parapet, and ultimately that's a choice. And there's an expression I like is, the world's a mirror, not a window. So it's a reflection of people's own insecurities of why they lash out or why they try and talk down. The only exception I would maybe give that to some regard is like parents. So your parents by default are trying to keep you safe. So they want to keep you in the safest position as possible, lowest risk. Not necessarily a bad thing from their perspective, but the biggest success and the biggest wins in life don't come with no risk. So you have to have an element of being able to tolerate risk. And also with great risk comes great reward, but also with risk comes work ethic, because you also know the consequence of this fucks up, which means you kind of got to have you can't be half pregnant, you got to be all in.
And do you think that it's exacerbated by the fact that the fitness industry is a pretty like self-centered, vain place to be? So when you're looking at somebody who's not only probably 10 steps ahead of you in regards to their physique, but also 10 steps ahead of you in regards to like where they're at in life or business. Like, can you think of a time when you were of that mindset where you would look at someone and be like, oh, what, like, why the fuck are they doing that? Why can't I do that?
I've never had the mentality of why I can't do that. I've had the mentality of how I can do that. And I can remember something distinctly. I thought about this the other day. So I was coached by Jordan Peterson, for as you know. I remember when I was working my full-time job, I was like trained by JP website, had like 5,000 members at maybe £5 a month. They were making like 25 grand a month. I was like, that's fucking insane. At the time that like perplexed my brain. I was like, that's mental. And I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, that's not necessarily a lot of money to me now. But also shows how kind of things change in terms of perspective. Now that's because of what I'm exposed to, or have been exposed to the last few years. But I see people with success of like, okay, he's done that, how can I do that too? Rather than like, fuck that guy, like he doesn't deserve that. Because one of the things I found, the more success I've had and hanged around successful people, there's almost like a code of conduct and respect of like, you both kind of fucking know you've been through the fire and probably been through shit to get to the point you are, because it's like a kind of survival of the fittest who can keep getting kicked in the dick and just keep going and just not fucking care, which is also why I think on the other end of the spectrum, a lot of the people who become successful tend to be kind of a bit emotionally dead inside, because they have to create that emotional stability to not react about fucking Janet at the co-op who's making a video about you or whatever it might be.
And okay, and one more question for you then. You're talking about being kicked in the dick. What do you feel is the biggest kick in the dick that you've experienced since trying to start out in this game?
Quick interjection to today's podcast. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button. This will allow us to get better guests, more high quality guests, and ultimately get you high level conversations to help you get everything you want for life. Now, back into the episode. I would say probably the weirdest scenario I've ever had was last summer. My Instagram account kept getting disabled by computer hackers, and I was getting blackmailed for 30,000 euros, and it was one of our competitors. That is probably the weirdest scenario I've ever had in my life, because it was a very unusual one. Outside of that, I would probably say there's a few things that kind of give me PTSD. So I made a joke about this before about one of my events, why I have two cats. It's because like one's because of like Stripe or like payment processors, and the other one's because of like Instagram Meta. Because like one of those kind of goes, you're a bit ropey.
Yeah.
So I would say I had a payment process shut down. It cost me £250,000 in recurring revenue. That was less than fun. And that was ignorance tax, because I didn't know what a payment dispute was, like hindsight. And then secondly is having Instagram accounts disabled and not knowing how to get them back. Now I have a contact you can get back in like 30 minutes. So that kind of gives a lot of reassurance. So those would be kind of the biggest things. And that's why I say to people, like in business and life, what you want to think about is a SWOT analysis. So like strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. From a business perspective, the biggest threat you're always going to have is like traffic source getting cut off. So your social media accounts going down or ad accounts. And then secondly is you can't transact money. You can't do those things, you kind of goosed.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, because I was actually scrolling through Instagram the other day and someone came up on my feed. I'm not going to say who they are, but they were talking about how, you know, if Instagram got shut down tomorrow, then half your businesses would be fucked. And it's like, okay, cool, but have you actually been through that fire? So it's like, no, probably not. The first question that I would ask is, do you really think that Instagram's ever going to fucking shut down? No. Like, when was the last time? I think the last time Instagram went like doolally was around Black Lives Matter, and that probably went down for like 24 hours or something, then it came back up. Like, Instagram is not going anywhere. It might have what happens, whereas something like TikTok might come along, but Instagram's smart enough now, or Meta is smart enough now, that anyone who's a competitor to them, they're just going to swallow them up. So it's never, first of all, Instagram and social media is never going to go anywhere. Not, I say never, I won't ever say never, but it's highly unlikely that that stream of social media is going to go anywhere. And secondly, if you're going to listen to someone who says something like, you know, what happens if Instagram goes down? Like, okay, cool. Has your Instagram gone down? Because I don't think your Instagram actually has ever gone down. And like, if you talk about it from that perspective, someone like you who's had it happen to you numerous amounts of times, not only to you, but then also clients as well, and now you have that resource, that to a degree would separate, I don't know, like your coaching from somebody else's. Because if something like that does happen, you're going to want to know someone or have that contact that you know will make the difference.
That's why I say to a lot of people working with this, essentially like an insurance policy, is because like, dude, there's nothing bad that can happen to you that hasn't happened before.
Yeah.
So like for me, it's like, I kind of know, like, and that's also why I de-risk. I've got like 8 payment processors. I've got multiple Instagram accounts. Also don't generate all my leads just from one platform. So like, this is kind of really warped, and I kind of hope this doesn't happen. But let's say, for example, someone comes along and deletes the entire Instagram app tomorrow. I'm like, cool, well, this is going to fun new game. I have a better skill set than everyone else, and I'm also on these other platforms. So guess what? I'm just going to go and start running ads on LinkedIn and YouTube, and I'll just clean up, because the other guys won't be as quick as I am to know how to do that. And I already know how to do it. Yeah,
and I think the thing is with social media in general, it's kind of like you have tools in your toolbox, and you want to be able to utilize specific tools at specific times. And obviously, one really like strong tool is being able to create paid advertising as alongside organic content, and utilizing them both at the same time, because it's all well and good being good at one thing, but if you can't master them all, or at least utilize them all, then you're never going to get to a specific place within your business. Because if you look at a vast majority of people who have organic content that does extremely well, that becomes saturated, and then they start to decrease. What tends to happen a lot of the time is they start to decrease their value because they think that they've got a lot of volume, so they think that they can make money off of that by selling low ticket prices. Whereas if you can, optimize both and place yourself in a market as like the expert, then that gives you the ability to be able to charge more.
The low ticket thing you mentioned as well, that era is dead now because of AI, because people can just buy the cheap thing, get the cheap thing in terms of ChatGPT or tell them how to do anything. So
I don't think it's dead completely. I think if you're like, say for instance, if you're someone like a Ryan Fisher, who's like
if you've got a massive audience,
because I don't think that side of things will ever go, because it's similar to the fact of I don't think anything like Netflix will go anywhere, like a small monthly fee for like a service. But what's different now is that someone like a Ryan Fisher or somebody who has a mass amount of following like that, say someone like a Ryan Terry or someone like that, they've built that following from the past like 10 years.
Well, Ryan was a professional CrossFit athlete and Ryan Terry's Mr. Olympia. So
you can't build that. One, you can't build that sort of following that quick. There's probably unicorns out there that probably could do it. But even if you were to do it, those people who are following you, they're not as loyal to you because it's so quick. Whereas if you take like a slow burner for someone who's built a following off
Christian Guzman, for example.
Exactly. Like Christian Guzman could probably put out a low barrier offer and make shit tons of money off of it because he's got a loyal following. But in this day and age, if you're trying to just build a massive amount of following so you can sell a low ticket, it's just never going to work. You need to, especially in the fitness industry now, you need to separate yourself away from what everybody else is doing, because what everybody else is doing isn't working.
Do you think everyone could be on camera?
No.
How if someone's listening to this, they know if they should be on camera or not?
If they keep having something that continuously comes up in their mind, which is telling them to continuously do it over and over and over again, and if they've tried it and they feel uncomfortable doing it, but then then they put it away, sweep it under the carpet, and then it keeps coming back and it keeps coming back. What you have to understand is nobody can, like, you can procrastinate over it for years and years and years. Everybody wants to be known as like the go-to person or the person who's great and has the great piece of content, but very few people have that natural ability. It's the same as not everyone can step on an Olympia stage and be a bodybuilding champion. Like, some people are naturally gifted in their ability to be able to communicate and talk on camera, whereas others, it will take a lot more time, a lot more effort and a lot more research to be able to actually create some form of character that is appealing for other people to watch. And if you're creating content just for the sake of creating content and not taking these kind of things into account, then I don't think you're ever gonna make it. You need to continuously rewatch back your stuff and critique it, and how can you get better at it. And a great example of that is, we use teleprompters for some of the long form content and some of the short form content that we create. In the first initial stages of using teleprompters, like, you were very like robotic and jagged, and everybody is. But if you look at, obviously people won't be able to notice the difference now, but because they don't see behind the scenes. But if you look back at some of the old teleprompter content that we were creating in comparison to what it is now, it's like night and day. And I think that's one thing that separates someone like yourself or someone with the, drive to want to become continuously better at whatever it is that they're doing. Then it's the continuous habit of doing the thing and then looking back at the data, how can I make this better? And then continuing moving forward.
It's the pursuit of excellence.
100%.
And I can give a good example. I think you kind of alluded to there. People kind of create an alter ego of who they are. And an excellent example would be Andrew Tate.
Yes.
I was at an event on Sunday with a couple of guys who know him, and they said he's like the nicest guy in the world.
Yep.
Like, completely not what you expect.
Yep.
And I think that's also where I said earlier about like the magnetic market kind of being polarizing. You kind of have to stand out and like plant a flag in the ground of like what you're for and what you're against. And then people will either gather around you or kind of pull away from you.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that people you have to adopt that very, very early. You have to have an understanding that who you are in a face-to-face conversation with your friends and your family is completely different to the version of you who you should be portraying yourself as online. Because with all due respect, like, this is a long form piece of content, it's a conversation between me and you, so that the likelihood of someone sitting down to watch this and engage in this is higher than what short form content is. But if we're trying to have a conversation like this and put it on short form content, like, it would never work. You have to have something that stands you out above everybody else. And if you're not paying attention to your personality or the charisma or the energy that you're bringing in regards to short form content, then you're going to fall flat on your face, because you're going to come up against the likes of Alex Hormozy or Layla Hormozy or Cody Sanchez, or, say, for example, I don't know who a good example of that would be in the fitness space, but there's people out there that have the personality, have the charisma, and they're portraying that.
Would be a good example.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, amazing example. Like someone like Greg Doucette is the epitome of Marmite. You either love him or you hate him. But what you can't take away from him is his success on social media. Like, he's a dominant figure, and the reason for that is, and if you don't actually know, like, go and look at Greg Doucette's stuff. All of his, like, speaking to camera stuff is all curated. The version of him who's in front of the camera, he's 100% like made that character up in his head, and it's worked for him. And I'm not saying be a different person. I'm not saying, be a fake version of who you are, but take your personality, take your likes, and just expand it by 5 or 10% minimum for when you're hitting record on the camera, and you'll naturally see more progress with your content.
What would you say to someone who's listening to this who says, I don't want to be inauthentic?
Well, there's a difference between being inauthentic and being like the truest version of who you are. Because I'll give you an example. Like, I'm an introverted person by nature. I don't like speaking in front of big groups of people. I actually find it incredibly hard to create content in general. And I personally haven't created content now for my personal page, which is going to obviously change coming into the new year. But I haven't done that since 2019. I stopped talking to the camera. But I can tell you now that who I am when I speak to you, who I am when I speak to friends and family, is the complete different person than when I'm sitting in my car and I'm driving along and my favourite song comes on and I'm blurting out that and I'm singing it and to like the top of my lungs.
Britney Spears.
It could be that. We'll maybe put what it is in the comments below, but I'm a completely different version of myself then than I am in front of everybody else. And that's what I mean by when I say you need to take your personality and expand it by 5 or 10%. You don't need to be a different person. You don't need to create this fake, false version of who you are. But what you do need to have an understanding of is if you don't bring that energy and you don't create that alter ego, then chances are your content's not going to be as good, because no one wants to listen to a monotone motherfucker when they're scrolling through content. It's harsh, but it's true.
Yeah, it's also what do you want to be known for. So like, if you think from first principle thinking and think that backwards. So like I said it earlier, but like be, do, have. So like think about like the character traits that you need to have as an individual of who you want to become. And if you start to like take out those character traits and act like them, eventually become that person.
And did you do this in the beginning stages?
Yeah, I was trying to have very clear and intentional what I wanted.
But did you, maybe this is a practice that some people at home can do if they're confused about what they should be doing. Like, did you actually put pen to paper? Did you sit there? Did you look at specific people who you were inspired by in the beginning stages of when you were starting out online? And did you like write down, like, this is what I want to look like, this is how I want to sound like?
Yeah, and I could give you an example. I've done that for 2026.
You've done it for 2026?
In terms of like character traits of who I want to be.
And who have you taken inspiration from that?
Someone asked me this the other day, maybe it might have been Charlie asked me this. It's like, who is it you want to, it's like, there's not one single person who's like, that's the fucking dude I want. So like, I want to take pieces of people.
Yeah, and that's the great thing.
Like there's a exercise called Traits of the Greats by John D. Martini taught me this. And basically, I'll study people. So I'll binge a certain person's YouTube podcast and I like books, and I'll try and absorb as much as I can from them, and I'll take like the traits I like from that, and then I'll go to the next person. So if I was to look at people who I like Alex Becker, who owns Hyros. I like his nerdiness when it comes to like biohacking, longevity, that sort of things. I like Alex Hormozy from some of the business aspects. I like I like Grant Cardone from his thought process in terms of like money and wealth creation. I also like him from like, I think he's a very good role model as a father. Yeah. So I'll try and look for people for certain character traits. Like Andy Elliott, I like in terms of his leadership style. I think he's a very good leader and he brings people together and creates community. So I'll look at different people of like, okay, I like the way he does this. I like the way he does this. I like the way he does this. It doesn't mean I want to like necessarily be that person every realm. And someone said this to me about, say, for example, Alex Hormozy is like 100% all in business, like fuck everything else in life. Like I'm like 80%, like 70, 80%. Like I kind of actually want to do some shit as well and kind of enjoy myself. So there is a point where you have to understand what is your own actual goal, because the biggest issue that I see is you get what's called mimetic goals, which is where Mike has this goal and I look up to Mike being like, oh, I need to do that. Or like, let's use Alex Hormozy as an example. He did a book launch that made 100 million. Cool. So like Alex did that, then therefore I've got to go and do that because that's what he did. Well, do you really want to do that? Like, why do you want to do that? And I think that's where people need to kind of take things back. So like a good exercise for people is like, what are the actual character traits in terms of what you want? So for me, one of the things I've had to focus on the last few years is like kind of being stoic and calmer and trying to be more controlled rather than more aggressive and kind of all guns blazing, because I used to get very anxious because I was trying to do too many things.
And is there any actionable steps that you've done that people could then adopt? Say for instance, if someone's watching this and they kind of have a vague idea of how they want to be portrayed on social media or come across in their business or whatever it is, and they can take inspiration from certain people, how would you then make that an actual actionable thing? Like, what's the sort of steps that you would take to be able to say, oh, okay, I can see Alex Hormozy over here doing this. I'm going to try and take that piece of what he's doing, but then how do you actually play that out? Do you consciously think about it before you're creating the piece of content? So, because that's the stuff that I don't think that's in your mind. Like, I don't see that.
That's psychological. So like, I'll give it a good example. So like, I'll wear vests sometimes which are all branded and stuff, right? So a distinct thing, I remember like Alex Hormozy wears his own branded vest. Andy Elliott said to me in TKMA, he's like, dude, like you're fucking jacked as shit. Like, why are you wearing fucking a Gymshark vest? You just need to wear your own branded stuff. It's like, oh, I have got my stuff. It's like, just wear your stuff all the time. Right. I was like, okay, I kind of see your point. Yeah. So like, I'll take little things like that from people. And I think this is also the value if you live in an inspiring environment or if inspiring people coach you, is you can take like little snippets of like code that sticks in your memory that then you start to learn the patterns of what successful people do, because human beings learn from mirroring, which is why, okay, if I see this person's really successful doing this, if I do it as well, chances are I'll probably do that. The easiest way to take that back down to like base principles is people's like daily habits and actions. So like what time to get up, how do you structure your day, like how do you run your meetings, blah, blah, blah. If you try and do what successful people do every single day, then you kind of become successful. But I will bracket that with where they were at the stage you're at. So like me, for example, now copying Grant Cardone where he is in life is not going to be very helpful. But for where he was maybe 15, 20 years ago, if I could see how he ran himself then, would probably be very relevant to where I am now.
And what do you think the percentage of people that would actually go out of their way to do that? Because I think a lot of people, they would think to themselves, oh, this makes logical sense. Like, I can make a list of things that I need to do on a day-to-day basis, but the list isn't actually you doing the thing. So it's like, do you feel like there's a specific, almost like breed of individual that has more chance of being successful in business? And for the people that, you know, maybe don't have that self-belief or that self-confidence, that might want to think that they can create this version of themselves, they can write the list, but then they procrastinate on actually doing the thing. What would be your advice for them?
So perfectionism is often procrastination in disguise. So people are waiting for the perfect time. It's just like fucking do it and figure it out, because you'll spend so long thinking about doing things you should have done it in the first place. And the way I try and think in terms of for people to be successful is there's a couple of key skills and character traits you need to have. One is a very high level of self-awareness. So like catching your thoughts, catching the way you think. Second is being very self-analytical and like critical of yourself. So which I said earlier is a blessing and a curse, because
it's hard to do that though.
Because then it can also mean you're unhappy. Because cool, I made loads of money, but then I'm like, yeah, but like I could make more. So it's like there's two sides to every coin. So like, and also I think I might be speaking to you about this the other day, but if you have a high level intellect, it's also more likely you're probably slightly less happy because you can overthink things and you think so much. So there is always two sides to one coin.
Yep.
And then thirdly is pattern recognition. So if you can see patterns in your life, okay, if I get up early, I do my work, I work out, I eat correctly, I sleep, I plan what I need to do tomorrow, and I do that for a couple of weeks and I start getting momentum in my business, maybe if I just keep doing this, it's going to keep going. Or if like, okay, at the weekend, I'm going to go to the beach clubs and get pissed all weekend, and then on Monday I wake up and I'm not very productive. You also kind of need to be aware of kind of pulling yourself away from that. And I think a lot of people just aren't willing to have the harsh internal conversation with themselves to pull themselves back.
I think that, but I also think as well that most people online, they don't actually see what it takes to get to a certain like level.
I have no idea.
Because with all due respect to that individual as well, they can't really understand it because all that they're seeing is the external perspective that someone wants to show them on social media, which 9 times out of 10, which is always going to be the highlights of someone's life. So if you're comparing yourself, which everyone says, don't, comparison is the thief of joy, try not to compare yourself, but it's human nature to do that. But if you're looking at someone on social media, say for example, who looks like they're living the ideal life, looking like they're crushing it on business, looking like they're enjoying themselves, going out partying and having fun, then that's almost like for that individual, that's the interpretation of what success looks like. When the actual success is sitting in a fucking dark room and just working and just being meticulous with the amount of work that you're actually doing, relentless with it. And I think you're like the mountaintop of that, whereas your ability to just literally zone in and just work for the sake of working's sake is what separates you apart from everybody else. But not very many people look at it that way.
Well, they would see, I don't know, Sunday night at like 8:30 p.m. I'm like rewriting how we're going to do all of our coaching in 2026. That's like fucking 4 pages long on a Sunday night. So I'll message clients on a Sunday about something, and they don't respond until the next day. I'm like, well, dude, like, there's more in this for you than there is for me. Like, I don't really, like, not I don't care, but the upside for you fixing this problem is more. And I think that's where, sounds a corny saying, but success doesn't have days off, because if you work Monday to Friday and I work every fucking day, I'm going to beat you every single day.
Yeah, but then the question would be then, do you think that there would be value in showcasing that?
Yeah, 100%. The problem with that is that type of content doesn't tend to get traffic because it's not fucking exciting.
Yeah, cool.
So if I live stream me sitting on my laptop, my headphones in all day, like, no one cares.
Yeah, it's the same example of, like everyone can talk about in health and fitness, or, you should eat healthier and you should train more. But that's just like, that's the basics. Like, nobody really wants to hear that anymore. I think that's one thing that I think if anyone listens to this can take into account is utilizing quote unquote unique mechanisms and making something that's very obvious sound new and sound big is one of the key factors to creating content that actually sticks. Whereas a lot of people, they'll think about an idea, say for instance it's something like, like doing cardio isn't great for fat loss or something like that, and they'll just talk about the subject. They'll be like, doing cardio doesn't, well, everyone knows that, everyone's heard that like 1,000 times. It's about trying to create like a unique mechanism around the message that you're sending, and that in general people will be intrigued about it because it opens up a curiosity gap.
The most powerful word in marketing is new.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the human brain always wants novel stimulus, and if you can feed someone that, you have their attention.
But the paradox with that is there is nothing new. No. But it's just you make it sound new. Like, it's creating a way to make it sound like something that someone's never heard before.
And you mentioned why some people are successful when other people aren't. Your reality for someone to be successful with content or within their business is just have the intestinal fortitude to keep going and sit in the boring problem for a long period of time until you fix it. Whereas what most people do is they work on something for a week and it doesn't make them £1 million. Like, well, I'm going to go and dance on TikTok now. So I do these things kind of take a while. And a good example is like, people think Alex Hormozi was an instant success online. It took him, I think, about 4 years and $2.5 million in content team and to build the audience he had. Yep. So it wasn't an overnight success, and it wasn't just a flip of a switch. Yep. And it's also someone with a very good backstory, who's good on camera. The whole thing is very engineered, and that's why success very rarely happens just by chance. Very rarely.
Yeah, and even if you look back at some of his content, you say he's naturally good on camera. Even if you look back at
His
some
old
of his
stuff
original
wasn't so
stuff,
great.
it's not great at all. So that just goes back to the previous message that we're talking about, which is just like doing the thing over and over and over again, looking back at it and thinking to yourself, oh, how can I make this sound better? How can I make this look better? And like, say for instance, if someone's watching this now and they're thinking about, what can they do if they're not great at content, like what would your advice be to them? Because in the beginning stages of when you set out to do online coaching, like it was you understood that from the get-go that you needed to have someone with you helping you. Would you suggest that, because nowadays everybody has the ability to create content, edit content and post it, would you say that it's vital for somebody starting out now to have someone alongside them that can take that load?
I think if you have the financial capability, yes, which is why I always say to was like, if you have a job, keep the job and actually start building a business and take the money from the job to build the business. Yeah. What most people do is actually the most stupid thing possible. And no one else from a business background will tell you this, but I can tell you this because it's literally what I did. I made money from my job. I took that money from my job. I put it into building a business. Yeah. Because I didn't want to have a small business where I make a couple of grand a month. I want to have a big business that absolutely crushes it. And I know to do that, I'm going to have to put some form of financial investment into team, content, systems, tech, like coaching, whatever the thing might be. And this is where people are looking for like, oh, I just want to post a reel and then get loads of clients pay me and then not do anything and sit on the beach in Bali. It's like, yeah, dude, you can sit on the beach in Bali, but you kind of have to do some work first. Yeah. And if you have that approach, you're ultimately going to be the person who kind of loses. Yeah.
Plus it's like, what sort of like, that's not really the sort of life that's sustainable. Like it might be, like, I think we were talking about this the other day. It might be enjoyable to do something like that for like a month or so, but then after that it's going to get extremely boring and you're going to like be craving to do something with your life rather than just sitting around and like partying.
Well, that's where people go off the rails and they decline very quickly. Yeah. And the best example you see of that is when people retire, they decline very fast because they no longer have a purpose in life.
Talking about declining, you're getting older now. It's your birthday this week, right?
Yeah.
How are you feeling about that? Catching me up?
It's weird because I suddenly feel like I'm an older person in the industry, which I don't know how it's kind of happened. And I think I was speaking to Chris earlier about this. It actually life gets easier as you get older because you've got more network, more knowledge, more influence. Like life kind of, if you work hard when you're younger, it kind of puts things on easy mode because you have more things at your disposal to kind of solve problems. Yes. The only thing I would say in some respects is like, the older you get, you have more responsibility, so you also have more problems to kind of deal with, which means your stress tolerance to handle some of these things has to become higher. And I think where most people struggle is that they don't develop themselves personally to be able to manage so many things, which is when they get quote unquote overwhelmed. And if I ever get to that point where I feel a bit like that, the easiest thing I literally do is just get a pen and paper and I just write down everything that I'm stressing about. And I was looking at it, I'm like, well, it's not that bad.
And you said earlier on that you're kind of manifesting the future version of yourself in 2026. Like, what are some of those things that you're adopting from when you're 35 and then
so
you're
like
now
the
36
character traits I'm looking for is to be stoic, calmer, very intentional, present, which is something I struggle with a bit because this is a common thing, but successful driven people don't live in the now, they live in the future. And then
which is surprising that you say that though, because I don't see you as someone who would suffer with that much anxiousness. But people who tend to live in the future tend to be anxious people because they're always worrying about what's going to happen.
I would say that's more people who live in the past and maybe anxious.
Unless
because
maybe
they've got PTSD because things that happened before them.
Unless maybe you are an anxious person, but you're so used to it that you don't even know that it's anxious.
Probably a combination of that. Yeah. But I think that's where people who are very goal orientated, they're thinking, okay, like my head's always like, what am I doing in 3 years' time, rather than like, what am I doing today? Yeah, and I think, which again is the blessing and the curse kind of analogy. But what I think is important for people is thinking in 3 ways. Is like, one, okay, what are the key things I need to do today that are going to kind of move me forward? And if I'm having a difficult day, I just look at my calendar of things I need to do. It's like, okay, I just got to fucking do these things. That's all I think about. I don't think about fucking 3 years' time. Yeah. And then when your head's in the game, it's like, okay, you then want to be thinking, okay, what am I doing today that's going to help me in 3 years' time? So this podcast today will still get views in 3 years' time. Yeah. ads I'm running now will probably still make me money in some form in 3 years' time. Like the training I'll do today will still help in 3 years' time.
Yeah.
It's like, is what you're doing today congruent with where you want to be in 3 years? If it's not, then you probably need to make better decisions on what you're doing in the short term to then affect the long term.
On that note of your birthday, I've got 2 surprises for you.
Okay.
The first one I'm going to have to go to my car and get.
Okay.
So you can maybe keep the viewers engaged whilst I go and grab it quickly.
Hopefully he's got me a pony. Or maybe a camel if we're in Dubai. With Mike getting this present, so what I have no idea what he's bringing. Hopefully it's not a pet, because I have enough pets. She right behind the other camera knows. Whilst we're on that, if you're a fitness coach or someone who wants to scale their online business in 2026, the most important things I would think about for you to kind of get in the position you want is your mindset times your skill set times your tool set. So the reason why I say it in those 3 sections is because the most important thing you have to have is have your mind mentally bought in to then get to the position you want. Because if you haven't kind of got yourself mentally bought in your goal of why that's emotionally important to you, you won't do the work to then get to that point. That's super, super important, because you might be making 10K a month and you want to get to 50K a month, but your why isn't strong enough to get you to the point to then be able to do that. So if you get your mindset bought in, then that'll make a big, big difference. And then it's not a cat or a pony, or a camel that Mike has brought into the room. So we're allowed to open it now.
Yeah, of course. I want you to understand now. 100%.
I have absolutely no idea what this is.
It's just a gift. It's nothing exciting.
This is the Mona Lisa painting.
Yeah.
Mike's actually a museum robber. Allowed to open it?
Yeah, open it. Yeah, for sure.
I'm not going to try and break it. It is what I think it is. Yeah, that's it. Did I say to you I wanted this?
I think I mentioned to you that you should get something like it, and then when I was thinking about what to get for you for your birthday, I was like, fuck it, I'll just make one for you. So.
Do you make that?
Yeah, I made it. Yeah.
Fuck me, dude. That's sick.
It's the one-on-one.
I think I said to you, I was looking on Amazon for. That's dope as fuck.
I like the message on it as well. If you read it out.
I failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Yeah, sick.
That kind of epitomizes your relentlessness.
Yeah, that's dope. Thank you, dude.
Sick.
That's
hopefully, I'm hoping that it will go up on that wall behind, and it will look sick.
How did you make that? It's a multiple. Is it a
print?
multiple?
So I took a bunch of multiple images, stacked them all in Photoshop, and then got it printed out. Bought the frame.
That's sick, dude. Thank you. It's very kind.
I appreciate it, man. And there's a second one, the second surprise that I've got you now, but you're gonna have to watch it. So
it's gonna be cringe.
Maybe we can put it up on screen as well.
Yo, just wanted to say happy birthday for this week, dude. I hope you have a fantastic day. Take some time for work. We all know you're a slave to the game. You love it. But take some time away, spend it with friends and family. Enjoy yourself, eat some good food, and I will catch you in a bit.
Happy birthday, Charlie.
Happy birthday, Charlie.
Hey Charlie, just want to say happy birthday. Hope you get some rest or do something fun, because I know you work so hard and don't get that much time off. And also, aside from that, just want to say thank you for everything you've done over the past couple of years.
I'm trying to cry on camera now.
Anywhere near where we are now and this amazing life if we hadn't joined you and got so much advice and help from you. So keep doing what you're doing. You don't just help people improve their own lives, but you help things generationally as well. Obviously, our kids, grandkids are going to be way better off for it, their lives and stuff like that. And as same thing with you and your daughter. So keep doing what you're doing, but make sure over the next couple of days you get some rest and really, really enjoy your birthday, because you definitely deserve it. Happy birthday, mate.
Happy birthday, Charlie. I hope you are taking off, and thank you so much for everything that you do. You're the best.
Hi Charlie, and happy birthday to you. I hope you have an absolutely amazing day with your girls. I'm sure you're going to get spoiled and have a lovely day. First birthday to Daddy, amazing. Also just say thank you so much for being such a great support and inspiration for us to work really, really hard. Our lives obviously changed drastically since working with you. And yeah, I'm just really grateful for all the support. And I'm really, really excited for the next year, I think. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a game changer next year, hopefully. So, yeah, have an amazing day.
Very big happy birthday to you, Charlie. This year has been incredible and life-changing, and I hope next year will be also.
Happy birthday, Charlie. Hope you have a good one. I know you're probably going to be working all day, mate, but at least enjoy your birthday.
Yo, Charlie, you really show what it means to be a leader compared to a boss, and you show that example day in and day fucking out, man. You're relentless. I love the hard work. It makes me motivated and pushes me to do a lot better every day, and just want to wish you the happiest of birthdays, my friend.
Charlie, quick message. Thank you for being such an inspiration. Really appreciate everything you do and how much you keep pushing us and the team to continue growing. Have a great birthday. Enjoy it.
To add to what Aiden said, wishing you all the best things that parenthood has to offer, and have a great day.
Hey dude, I just wanted to wish you a massive happy birthday. Have a wonderful day.
Yes, Charlie, happy birthday,
videos.
mate. Thank you for everything that you've done for me over the past 2 years. I'm forever grateful. You've completely changed my life. And I just want to say, have a great day. You absolutely deserve it. And we'll catch up soon.
Hey Charlie, happy birthday. Just wanted to send my best wishes. Hope you have an amazing day. I just also wanted to say thank you so much for everything you've done for me personally, but also for hundreds and probably thousands of other guys as well. Your constant kind of pursuit for greatness and desire to succeed and just pushing past boundaries is super inspiring. So thank you for that as well. But have a fantastic day, and see you soon.
Just want to say a big happy birthday to the main man himself, big Mr. Charlie Johnson.
Dan's balking too much.
You've changed a lot of lives, and you're going to continue to change a lot more.
Well, happy birthday, mate. Hope you have a fantastic day. 6 or 7 years of working with each other, and obviously our lifetime before that has gone by pretty fast. It's all come a long way in those 6 or 7 years, living in different parts of the world. A long way from the Marbella days where we were walking around looking for jobs, scrubbing dishes and shit. Didn't even get those. Now look, so well done, mate. Done big things. Plenty more big things to come. Thank you for everything, for supporting me and keeping everything going and being a fucking fantastic leader for all these years. And let's do another 6 or 7 years, shall we? Happy birthday, mate, and hopefully this year you can get a present of sleeping in or getting a nice sleep, full one.
Hey Charlie, I just want to wish you the happiest birthday to date. I hope you have an absolute movie of a year. I hope it's absolutely insane to watch back. Life's going to get better and better, dude. I just wish you enjoy it, be as present as you can be. Realise what you're building, because it's something that I've not seen built before. I see it to you time and time again. I've don't think there's anything like it. It's a joy to be in the circle. It's a joy to be part of the team. And just 3 years ago was the first time we actually met in person. So it's come a long way, and it's still going a long way. It's only 3 years, which is insane. So thanks for everything. Here's the future, and here's the building camp.
Yo, Charlie, the OG, massive happy birthday, mate. Have an awesome one from your tour guide from when you first moved to Dubai. Let's go!
True to fair.
Happy birthday, Charlie. Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a blessed year ahead. Thank you for everything. I wish you the best 2026 and a Merry Christmas.
Wishing you a massive happy birthday, Charlie, from this beautiful establishment. Tate was too busy to come out because he's too busy with his Globos in the Globe to wish you a happy birthday. So on behalf of myself and Tate and Caleb and everybody else, happy birthday, and I hope you have a great day, and thanks for everything.
Yo, what's up, Charlie? Just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. Stay humble, stay handsome, stay sexy, stay rich, and have a fantastic day all the way to love from Cape Town.
Happy birthday, Charlie. Hope you have an amazing day. Just wanted to say a big thank you from me and Amber, as you and the team have helped us change our lives this year. So have a great day, buddy.
Oh, this is perfect. So today is December 15th, which is my fiance's daughter's birthday. So we got some birthday decorations up. Just in time for you too, man. Charlie Johnson, aka Jack James Bond. Happy freaking birthday, man. From your boy, Trevor Muscle Shuffle Stewart. Hope you have an amazing day, dude. Thank you for being an amazing friend, leader, mentor, businessman, just overall savage. I would not be where I am today without you, sir. Thank you for being a role model in my life. Hope you have an amazing day. Can't wait to see you in Dubai or sooner. Just know this guy right here freaking loves you, man. Happy birthday, bro.
Hey Charlie, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Hope you have a great day and Merry Christmas.
That's pretty sick.
There are a bunch of other people that I couldn't get the video back in time, and all credit due, that was Itaz's idea to do that.
Yeah,
he pinged me a message late yesterday yesterday morning saying that he thought it'd be a good idea, and credit to Shiroy as well. He turned the video around, so
I want to speak. I find it really cringe getting praise as well. So it's like it's
yeah, but I think you know what the biggest thing is like because I see you and I work with you and like we do stuff with each other like each and every day. The biggest thing that I see that what you don't do is don't take enough time to take the praise and take the, you know, like the gratitude that other people have towards you and how much you've changed their lives. So, and personally for me, like from where I was at, you know, back in the UK to now being out here and working with you full time, like it's a game changer. So take the praise. I'm glad. I'm a bit annoyed that you didn't break and cry, but there you go.
I managed to rein in that emotional stability of the. So I think one of the. It's funny. I actually thought about this a lot the last few days. It's like the biggest thing that gives you fulfillment being successful. The biggest thing that gives you fulfillment being successful, being helped by other people.
Yes, of course.
Because at a certain point, you don't care.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the thing is as well, the older you get in life, is the more you realise that all of this pursuit is literally what you're doing it all for. And if you don't take a time to, you know, take a step back and see the progress that not only you've made with your own journey, but other people you've helped other people do as well. That's inevitably what it's for, and it's like owning that.
Well, I can even give some weird examples this week. It's like I gave my housekeeper like $1,000 in cash because so her and the kids can have a fucking good Christmas. Like to me, it's not like a massive thing, but to like them, that's massive. And then like my partner's dad's probably had quite a difficult time. It's like he's been here the last few weeks. He helped look after the baby and has been like fishing, having the fucking best time of his life all fucking day.
Yes.
So it's like I have the ability to do that because of the sacrifices I'm willing to make. And that's also why I say to other people is like, if you are willing to make those sacrifices, you can help a lot of other people and not just yourself. Because like your drive to then becomes more because you can see it's more impact than just yourself.
Yeah, of course. But then again, it comes back to the fact of like, don't get lost in that pursuit. And it's hard if you're a driven person and you want to be successful and you want to get somewhere in life. It's hard to take a step back and actually look at how far you've come, not only yourself, but the people who you surround yourself with as well. So there's always like time to do that. And I don't think you do it enough. And I'm glad that I got it on camera.
I think, I think it's, if you find a strong enough why for stuff, then what can give you the drive?
Exactly.
Which actually, ironically, when you went out, that's what I actually said.
Or was it?
It was like the reason you can't get yourself to make more money or be more successful, you haven't got enough of an emotional drive to get you to do it.
Yes.
Because your emotions will dictate your outcomes of what you do, which is why, in a messed up way, a lot of the people who are most driven are in a lot of pain because of running away from something sometimes. So
do you think that you've become a more emotional person, not only now that you're older, but now that you've become a dad as well?
I wouldn't say I've become more emotionally aware, maybe. And maybe less ignorant, but I wouldn't say I become more emotional as a person. I think I learned to I'm very controlled with my emotions, which again is kind of a blessing and a curse. But I think it's like framing. I remember I did work with therapists before, and it's like you kind of got Jekyll and Hyde personalities. Is like learning how to control that, so it's not completely two different people.
Yeah, awesome, dude.
I don't really take that now.
I think we can end it there.
Yeah.
It's a good note to end it on.
If you enjoy the podcast, drop in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe and share. If you also like Mike's masterpiece, and I will say big thank you to everyone who sent through a video review as well for that. That's pretty sick. And 2026 will be pretty wild. So we'll see where we are in 12 months' time. We'll do another podcast in 12 months.
Man, for sure, definitely.
Cool. Thank you.
No worries.